What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Garage Talks 5417 podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Reynolds, aka the Peacekeeper. And we're sitting here with another great guest. As you know, we always bringing in great guests that got a great story to tell, educational story to tell. And this is season 2 now, so we jumping in. It's going to get a little more fun, a little more spicier, and a little more, can we say, more deep with it. So I got my guy here. My guy, John Porter. He's from Carson City, Nevada. He went to Nevada University, also a 2-year college golfer, 2-sport athlete in high school, football and golf. John Porter, it's good to have you, my guy.
What's up, brother?
How
the
you?
Words of LeBron, it's about damn time.
Yes, man. Yes. And that brings me to the point. How you doing, mate?
Man, I've been listening to you talk about the podcast for a while. I mean, it's something working together. You were always bringing it up, but it's about damn time. I saw Jeff on here, so I'm like, I got to get on here.
You got to get on here, yeah. Shout out to Jeff, talking about our old guest, Jeff, right there, one of our older guests. Man, Jay, yeah, it's an honor to have you. You know, I mean, you're just a great friend of mine, good person, great family man, everything. So it's just cool that it happened, you know.
When I moved up here, I mean, I knew practically nobody. Started working with you, and you kind of took me under your wing a little bit, told me when to pick things up, when to tone it down a little bit. So
Right.
You've been one of those friends I've had here closely, and I mean, you at my wedding.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, you've been a real close friend here the last almost 5 years now.
Is it
I think,
almost 5?
Yeah, I think August to be 5 years that I've been up here.
Okay, bet.
So that's one of those
Man.
things. Doesn't feel like it's been 5 years.
Nah.
It feels like I've been up here a couple of years, but I look back, I'm like, man, 2019 is 5 years ago.
It's crazy. That was a good year. That was a good year for me. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of good things happened. One like bad thing, but the rest was good. But time flies when you're having fun. So
We just don't want to talk about what happens after
Man,
after
right.
December 2019.
Man, seriously, man, that's the truth, man. So let me see, John, jumping into things, man. I guess we gotta talk. That's a fun story you brought up. Your wedding.
Oh man,
This is one of your favorite stories. Let's just tell the world right now with your wedding. What was your point of view when you was at the altar at the beautiful church, beautiful setup? What was your point of view with
I remember walking out. I see everybody that we work with standing outside. I look, I'm like, Des ain't here yet? And I'm like, oh, it's Des. He gonna be late. So I remember standing top of the altar, and we're looking at, I'd say, a couple hundred people there. I mean, mind you, this is 2021. This is COVID. We got lucky. This is like the 1 week out of that entire summer that there was no masks, so we got lucky.
Man, straight up.
And I remember standing at the top of the altar there with all the bridal party, and I see Des outside the church doors as my wife's getting ready to process down the aisle. I see him outside the doors, almost tiptoe, staring into the building, trying to figure out how to get in. And I don't know if we have a photo of it, but that's something I can remember just seeing from the very top of the altar there. I'm like, oh man, looking at it. And it's not the only funny thing that happened that day. We had my best man dropping the wedding rings.
Oh,
And I
no.
know we have that one on photo.
Oh, no.
Right when he dropped it. And he had been practicing pulling out the rings the entire time.
Oh, no.
When we were getting ready, he was sitting there flipping the box open, practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Moment came, just fumbled it.
Oh,
And
no.
I might have to send you that picture because it's him like midair trying to catch them.
I know you're a stat guy. How many times you think he was practicing open
man,
and
I don't
closing?
know. We were in the little mess hall of us getting ready, and I just remember him, just the little ring case, flipping it in and out. And, oh man, my buddy Sam.
Shout out to Sam. Cool cat, though. Super
Oh
cool.
man, it was one of those ones where it's just like, this was bound to happen.
Right.
There's no such thing as a perfect wedding.
Nah, never.
Something got to happen.
Perfect moment, never perfect.
But yeah, I
wedding.
mean, that entire day, don't remember much after. It's just one of those, for anybody that's been married, I mean, you don't remember much of your wedding day.
Is that because you were drinking? Come on, John. Is that because you're drinking? Is that why you say that?
I don't remember much of what happened beforehand, and I wasn't drinking beforehand. But I mean,
true.
as far as like the reception, I remember how hot it was.
Right. Oh, it was cooking.
I'm in a red jacket. It's 90 something degrees outside. It's humid, and I'm bow tie. I hate wearing top buttons, but I mean, for the wedding photos, you got to have those top buttons. You got to have the bow tie. And it was a scorcher. I remember the two dances. That was the only two dances. Did dance with my wife. I did the dance with my mom. I remember the songs for both dances.
Right.
I remember hitting golf balls in the driving range for the reception. I remember nothing else until we got in and out at like 11 o'clock that night, driving up to Salem.
Yeah. You guys got out late that time. You got out late with the. I know I'm gonna jump in on I knew when I pulled up to the reception, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I saw her dress. By the way, Samantha, you looked amazing. I know I told you before, but I saw the dress and I was just like, shoot. Just shoot. And I knew I wasn't worried about anyone else but you because I was like, he sees me, man. He sees me. So she took her little steps and then I just slid through the side and sat with everybody else. I blame the lights, man. I blame the lights.
Yeah, that's one of those days. That's a memory I'll remember from the wedding.
Straight up.
That's one of those ones. I mean, most people have a couple memories, but I mean, that's one of those ones. It's just like, you got to remember those happy, fun memories.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
That's
but I mean, when we got married, we were together. We've been together 10 years now.
So 10 years.
But married, we've been almost 3 years. So,
is it 3 already?
Yep. It'll be 3 in July.
Okay.
July 24th. I know, National Tequila Day. That was the main reason we did it.
Hey, okay.
Our options were the 17th or the 24th. And we went with the 24th, which is National Tequila Day.
Okay. What's some of your favorite tequila brands?
So I have a couple bottles of 1800 at home. I've got a couple bottles of Casamigos. My mom brought me up from Mexico.
Hey.
So I've started just to like drinking it just as is.
Just straight.
You don't have to drink it like a shot.
Right.
You can drink it like a glass of whiskey. You can sit there and sip on it.
Just
There's
sip.
no lime or salt needed.
Right.
So
I still need you to mix it for me, John. When I come through next time, I need you to mix that.
But now with the baby, it's just like, I had my first drink yesterday in a couple months.
Dang, okay.
It's
nice.
not something I've wanted to do much recently.
That's cool.
I mean, just health benefit wise, I mean, you gain a lot of weight if you're drinking.
Right. That's straight up. Straight up.
It's something that cutting back drinking's helped me lose a lot of weight.
Was that one of those things where you're just like, when you start slowing it up, cutting it, you just start realizing, like you said, just weight loss, maybe mood, all that stuff?
So if I look back before the baby was born, I was maybe 210.
Where are you?
And after the baby was born, I'm 188, 190.
Okay, bet.
And that's a year later, and I've rarely drank.
Got you.
And it's like, I remember the days that I did have a beer or did have a drink, because it's
right.
It's really rare.
Straight up.
So that's just one of those ones where it's just like, even wife's not a heavy drinker and stuff like that. So if it's a social gathering,
I'll
have
a sip
drink
or something.
So it's like, we go out for dinner, I'll get a drink.
Right.
Or we go to like a wedding reception, I'll get a drink, something like that. So it's not been my forte. I know there's a lot of people who love drinking hardcore and stuff like that. I learned from a wedding. I learned from the honeymoon.
Straight up.
I don't need to go that far anymore.
Straight up. Well, I mean, and John, for me, what I say with my drinking, like when I have a drink or whatever, I try to make it, I tell myself, have something to celebrate. You feel what I'm saying? Have a moment, you have a kid, you get married, you hit an achievement or a goal you want. That keeps you disciplined to points where you're like, okay, bet, like I ain't just gonna go drink this weekend, or I'm just gonna drink at my house. Like,
it's one of those things. Like, I've never been like, oh, hey, I got 12-pack of Corona in the fridge. I guess I'll just have one each night. No,
right.
No, it's never been something like that. It's been a drag to even if somebody gives me anything to like, oh man, I gotta drink this.
I gotta drink. It's like, can I pour some over here?
It's one of those things that after the wedding, it was like, I got to cut back a little bit,
Shoot.
health wise.
Man, I don't drink much, but after the wedding, I said the same thing. them cake, what was
The little
that?
cake shots.
The cake
I didn't even
shots.
get one.
You didn't get one?
No, I think we had 4 or 5 flavors we went with.
Uh-huh.
We did like a key lime with tequila to make it kind of like a margarita style cake
Right.
shot. We did like a chocolate and a whiskey one as well. And I got maybe a small plate of food.
Mm-hmm.
We got one bite out of the wedding cake. Didn't get anything else after that.
Man.
And that's why when we were driving up to Portland that night, we had to stop in In-N-Out because, I mean, it's one of those things, the wedding, you got to make sure you eat. And my focus is like, hey, make sure the wife eats because I don't know if she's been eating anything. Nerves are high, so harder to stomach stuff when you're anxious and stuff.
Right, right.
So
That'd be the perfect food, though, John. Some In-N-Out burger
In-N-Out
after that wedding.
the In-N-Out was nice that night.
Oh, I know it's that. Right.
Me being a Nevada, Northern California person. Oh my God! As soon as I found out there was In-N-Out up here, if anytime I go up to Salem, I try to get some.
So good.
My
So
options
good.
are, oh man, there's a Chick-fil-A there. There's the In-N-Out. So it's like,
I just had Chick-fil-A for the first time 2 weeks ago.
all the driving you used to do up to Portland. That's the first time you
I
got.
finally had it. I know. I finally
Wow.
had it. It was amazing. And it was great. It really was.
Just a sandwich or
Just a sandwich and
Okay.
some fries. Tore it up. Chick-fil-A sauce.
yeah, there you
Munch,
go.
munch,
You
munch.
got to get the Chick-fil-A sauce on there.
So good.
Difference one's the breakfast chicken biscuits.
Oh, when the one gets built here, I'll try that. I'll try some of that.
You might as well just go up to Salem.
Just go say
It's gonna be such a wait.
Man, no, that's man. But then back to the cake shots real quick, world. I'm gonna put myself on blast. I love love. I'm gonna tell you all that right now. I love love. I'm a fan of love. So seeing him and Samantha get married, I was hyped. Get to the after party, and I just saw them cake. I didn't know those cake shots were like alcohol in it.
I did not know
I didn't know
that you were eating those because at that time you really hadn't been drinking much of anything at all
Anything.
that year. And when I get
remember
back
that?
when I got back from the honeymoon, I can't remember who told me, but they were telling me that you had multiple of those cake shots. I was like, oh no. Those got tequila and whiskey on them. That's not where you
was
want to
7,
go.
8. Hey, I got a sweet tooth too, John. So I was just
Yeah, I think I
That
had
was a good
I had the sangria. That's what I ended up destroying.
okay.
I had maybe a picture of that.
Got you. Gosh, man, that was a good time. And you had like what, 200 people at your wedding, at the party, 150, something like that.
I can't remember how many we booked it, but we were out at River Ridge and
Beautiful golf course.
I can't really remember, but I mean, we had more than really we were anticipating. When we first started to do the guest list, it wasn't something that we were anticipating.
Right, right.
200, and then we started putting all our family down. We're like, oh man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, thank God we had a wedding planner, Dawn. She helped us out so much on that.
Heck yeah, man.
And that's something, anybody gets married, get a wedding planner. Do not do it yourself.
Right, definitely.
She had that coordinated perfectly.
Did she? Just made it flawless. I mean, it looked great. It was great. Had a great
Basically, all
time.
we had to do is show up.
Okay. That's
She handled that.
how it's needed to be. That's how it needed to be. Then shortly after, you had a kid.
I don't know about
What?
a couple years later. Yeah, a
Was
couple
it?
years later.
How old is little man?
Mateo was born March 29th, 2023. So he's just a little over a year old.
Okay, bet. So a little over 2 years later.
Yep, a little over 2 years later.
Okay.
And for me, I mean, I was not expecting to really want kids that early.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of always been the person growing up that if somebody would hand me a baby, it's just get it away from me.
Right.
I mean, even like my stepbrother's kids, I remember when they're born and they're high school now. And it was just, there's photos of me just awkwardly holding them in the hospital. It's just like, nah, I don't feel like doing this.
Picture says 1,000 words.
So, but now, I mean, with Mateo, it's kind of been one of those things where having my own child's changed the perspective a bit.
Right.
Like,
Right.
would I still like if somebody just handed me their baby? No, because it's not really mine.
I was gonna say it's not yours. I was
And
just gonna
there's
say.
a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that.
It's like wearing someone else's shoes. Like, cool, but I ain't gonna wear these shoes everywhere. They ain't mine.
It's just like I love him. I love it when it's mine.
Uh-huh.
But somebody else's iffy.
Right.
And I mean, we got lucky. I mean, we didn't get the stereotypical sleepless nights and waking up. No, basically from 3 months old on, he slept for 8 hours a night.
But John, you're a chill dude, so I'm not like too surprised by that. Like, you're just such a chill guy. That's what I love about you.
He is a relaxed, chill baby.
So he got that from you for sure. You be chilling.
He's sleeping 10, 11 hours straight at night since he was 6 months old. So we've been lucky.
Right.
Now, we might be getting the terrible twos early, where he likes to just run around the house right now with the golf club and smack things.
Didn't you say the other day you hit his head or something?
Yeah, he's in the walking stage now. So it's they're not going to walk. They're going to try to full on sprint. And full on sprint means he doesn't know how to control his balance and falls over face first. So sometimes they're concerning. Sometimes it's kind of funny because you're just like, oh my God, he finally got it. And then down he goes.
Right.
It's just like those America's Funniest Home Videos. It's like, sometimes you just got to chuckle at it.
Straight up.
And I've learned just from other people, you don't want to make the gaps. You don't want to make like the scared sound because that might frighten them. That's why they cry on some of those things.
Right.
Sometimes they might not feel the pain when they fall face first, but if you do the and freak out, it'll startle them. So, I mean, my focus has really been not to overreact.
And that startle make them cry more and do stuff. How did you being a first-time father, obviously, navigate just doing that? Like, for someone that may be having their first kid and watch this, what's some advice or what's something John did to, and maybe your wife helping you, well, of course helping you, but
so
what got you through first fatherhood?
So having Samantha, by far, I mean, she has had to take care of her niece and nephew, help raise them essentially. She would babysit them and stuff like that when they were infants to a couple years old. So she has a lot of experience working with kids.
Okay, bet.
And then we have in-laws that live real close. My mom's raised 3 kids, and she has 2 other grandkids now. Stepdad had 2 kids with 3 or 4 grandkids. So we have just a lot of people around us. For me, I mean, again, I'm coming from a position where I'm like, iffy on kids. So it was a lot harder for me to come to the realization of what to do. It's mostly lean on the wife on her things. But again, she's a first-time parent as well. So her expertise is talking to her sister who has 3 kids.
John, jumping into things, man. You know, this podcast always talking about adversity, things we've been through, got through. Yeah, I know. I'm just jumping in since we're on the topic of fatherhood, man. One thing I always like to look at is like what people been through and how they get through things. I always think life reacts to how we react to things. That being said, man, you lost your pops at an early age.
May 28th, 2009.
May 28th.
It'll be 15 years this year.
So real quick, I'm going to just throw my one piece in. That's wild to me because my dad's birthday is May 29th.
Yeah, Memorial Day is just one of those weekends where most people, they get a barbecue, weather's finally nice, stuff like that.
Right.
For me, it's one of those weekends where it's a lot more somber, it's a lot quieter. I try to really just, I don't want to say avoid people, but it's just one of those days. I take day off. I'll take that Thursday off work, that last Thursday of the month off work, and just time to just relax, reflect. It's never an easy topic to really talk about. I mean, nobody loves to just talk about grief, pain, or loss.
Yeah. Safe place here, John. You know that. Safe place.
For me, talking about it I don't want to say made it easier. There's no such thing as an easy way to deal with loss,
No,
but it helped get a lot of those emotions out. Everybody grieves differently.
definitely.
So
Definitely.
there's no such thing as a set grieving process. People can throw out the acceptance, the sadness, and I believe there's like a 5-step method that what people want you to try to follow the way grief goes.
What's those 5 steps you think?
There's denial. It's like what? Denial. There's like denial, acceptance, the grief, pain. I can't remember it exactly, but
Gotcha.
it was just one of those things I never abided by.
Right.
The way I grieve my dad's passing is completely different than my sister, and 100% different than my brother.
Definitely.
So it's just those situations that have helped shape me. Just a little detail about it. I'm 1 week from finishing 8th grade. Would put my sister at 6th grade and my brother at 4th grade.
So how old does that make you? 8th grade?
This would have been, 2009. I would have been just turned 14.
Wow.
So I just had turned 14. Again, this is preparing stuff for high school. So I remember a couple weeks before his accident, I was getting registered for, actually not even a couple weeks, I'd say a couple days.
Right.
I'm getting registered for freshman football.
Okay.
A couple weeks before that, got first golf set from him. And my last good memory of my dad is us going to the driving range, probably 10 days before that accident happened. So it was something that just happened rapidly. And somewhat short version of it, our family's house, we had a built-in pool in the backyard. Now, we're middle-class family. I mean, if you have a built-in pool, it came from the previous owner of the house. But, I mean, it wasn't, like, well off. But we had a built-in pool, and with a built-in pool, you have to have this entire filtration system and all the piping and such. And
so you're in Nevada, I'm assuming, right?
Yep. You're still in Nevada at this time. And my brother was out helping my dad, so this would be 10-year-old brother at the time. Just, my brother was obsessed with the pool. God, when my mom was planning on buying the house, he was obsessed with how the pool filter worked, cleaning the pool. Brother loved it.
Straight up.
And I remember I think I was probably watching a baseball game or something. I just remember it was late afternoon, and I just hear a pop, and I hear my brother screaming from outside, and go out, see my dad the way he was. Essentially, my dad was trying to put the cover back on top of the filter. Something had short-circuited, so it turned the pool pump back on. So if you don't have it sealed or anything, that filter and the cover essentially just becomes a projectile.
Oh, no.
So it came up, hit my dad on the jaw. So broken jaw, broken neck, broken nose, and head force trauma. Head force trauma. No. So much more traumatizing for my brother, who's
right there,
inches from that. I remember my mom coming downstairs. I remember neighbor that lived behind us jumping over the fence trying to do everything. And I remember just having to call 911 to get first responders there. So I remember all of that. And while it's hard to deal with what was going on there, for me, it wasn't even the hardest part of that day. So after they get him into ambulance, they're going to care flight him from Carson City to Reno, which is normally like a 30-minute drive, care flight 10 minutes. My mom and my now stepdad, Les, he offered to drive her up to Reno to meet up with him. I'm at home with now my brother's godmother and my brother and sister. And the hardest part for me is having to answer the door when the sheriff knocks on it, and sheriff tells me, doesn't ask, is there any adults there? I answer door, and he lets me know that my dad had passed on the care flight. So
wow,
I was the first one to find out anything.
Wow.
At that exact moment, one of my aunts from Mexico called to see what was going on, and I had to let them know I have to call them back. Calling my mom to let her know my dad passed, by far is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
I know it.
There is nothing that is going to even come close. And I can remember her phone number at the time. And I remember just calling and the hysterical scream. It was almost the same way when I found out from the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
The second hardest thing I've had to do was call my dad's mom, my grandmother,
Mm.
who lived 2 hours away in Northern California, and let her know that too.
Mm. Mm.
So a lot of those two situations have put my life into a position where if I hear somebody is like, hey, is this difficult? Or hey, is this a challenge? I just tell them, no, I'll figure it out. There's nothing challenging to me or nothing hard for me to do after those two situations.
After going through that, that's what shapes John. That's so anything else you go through, you said, I went through this, so I know I can do it.
Being able to speak on it became slightly easier because of the church I was at.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of youth group stuff growing up, and we did retreats. And back then we had a youth minister, Doug Stewart, who was really focused in on these, I don't want to say traumatic events or stressful events, but he had a lot of life memories that I was like, hey, that's very similar to what I just went through. And the first time I ever spoke on this, being raised Catholic, we had confirmation, which is one of the sacraments, and we had a retreat up in Lake Tahoe, Nevada.
Okay.
And we had 95 sophomores in high school at this retreat. So we stay up there the entire weekend. They have all these cabins and stuff that we stay at.
Got you.
And
so this is after the event you went through.
This is probably 2 years after. I really hadn't talked to it about with anybody.
What were those 2 years like for you? How were you navigating day by day? I mean, I'm sorry, but going through something like that.
The first mistake, and I'm going to I beat myself up over this. I went to school the next day.
Went to school?
I went to school the next day it happened.
How? What?
It just never felt like it actually happened.
Got you.
Yeah, was it weird with my grandmother taking me to school that day? Yeah.
Okay.
But I was just quiet. My grandmother had already notified all my teachers what had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever had to leave or my sister had to leave. We were both at the same middle school at the time. My biggest mistake was going to school that day because a couple of my buddies, we had a giant middle school football lunchtime recess, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we were organized when it came to lunchtime football.
Hey.
We had paperwork with leagues and scores and stats and stuff like that.
Straight up.
But I remember telling them why I wasn't playing. And I can just remember one of them just telling me, there's no way your dad just passed. I saw him a couple days ago at football signups.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it really just set in. I'd never wanted to fight in my life that wasn't self-defense. But at that moment, it was just one of those ones where I just wanted to fight him.
You guys are all kids. They don't even know the right thing to say. Yes.
Hands down, easiest big regret I have is going to school the next day.
Straight up.
Then after that, a lot of the things kind of just settled down. I mean, It was difficult because, I mean, it's just my mom by herself. And she has a son starting high school, wanting to play high school football. And she has a preteen daughter. She has a 11-year-old boy going into 5th grade.
Right.
Where she's just a single mom
in this situation, in a big
losing her husband.
Man, Jay, real quick on that, I'm going to take a commercial break, but get into your mom's. I do want to ask, because I actually had that question lined up next, and I want to talk about your mom, especially after I met her. I just felt her power. So let's take a quick break right quick after this, and then we get right back to it.
Yep.
JP, coming back from that, man, so you had that disastrous event happen. How important was mom?
I'll be honest, early on, I don't think I put as much focus to what mom was going through.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably when I got to junior, senior year of high school, I started noticing more. And then college is when I started really like, hey, I should be around more for her. I mean, it was tough because, I mean, she has a son that's going to play high school football, which she's no expert in football. I mean, neither was my dad, but I mean, he was typically around more football wise, whether it's showing up to 5 o'clock practice and it's freezing cold out and raining.
Right.
She had no idea on the gear and stuff like that. She doesn't know anything on the golf side. At that time, she had knew nothing on the golf side.
Straight up.
So it was tougher for her, and it's the only time I've ever really kind of shut her out from anything I was doing, just because I knew that she didn't have an understanding on anything. That's one of those regrets I look back on. It's just like my freshman, sophomore, and most of my junior year, I probably didn't notice as much on how she was feeling as I did senior year and then my first year of college. First year of college, I remember she was opening up a soccer store back home where they were going to sell equipment, cleats, jerseys, all the sorts and stuff like that. And it felt like I needed to be there for that. Now, did it affect me in possibly what I wanted to do? Maybe. I'll never know, because I'm perfectly content with the life I have now. But I mean, I look back at that, it's just like, that's when she first opened up the store, that's when I noticed, hey, maybe I should help her on this.
Got you.
Where I don't know if she knows anything on running the store or doing the inventory, bookkeeping and stuff like that. So I dedicated a lot of my time when I got back to Nevada after being up here for a year.
Being with moms, giving back.
Hey, I'll take care of the store. You have a migraine, go home.
Right.
I can run, I can close it up. In my first couple of years there, or my first 2 years back, it was Monday through Saturday, maybe a Sunday on occasion, but Monday through Saturday, go open the store at 9 o'clock. Set everything up, check inventory, clean out the back room and stuff like that. So once I got older, it started really focusing, and most impactful moment is when I told her that I did want to move up here. And I remember both of us just hugging and crying on it. I told her it was just something I had to do.
So building that relationship with moms didn't come till later.
Yeah, I would say
building it stronger, I should say.
Yeah, building it stronger. Building it stronger took a couple years after. I mean, all of us were kind of just distraught. And I mean, it's kind of just hard to realize how to balance time. I mean, it's not like we can all be at one place at one time. My sister was heavily into diving and kind of animals and stuff like that. My brother's still with the soccer and stuff, where she had more expertise on there. So, I mean, it was hard for her to really divide her time to 3 kids in high school. And, I mean, we all ended up going to the same high school and stuff like that. So for me, I became a lot more independent after everything. And I my friend groups always have really been small. Just me in general. I've hated birthday parties.
Man,
I am somebody that I did not want to have a big party. I think the biggest party I maybe had was my 16th, was because my now stepdad Les, he was a bouncer at a restaurant, and he managed to book out the restaurant
gotcha,
for us to do the 16th birthday party. That might be the largest birthday party I ever had.
You always been a low key dude.
I've hated
just big groups.
I mean, I hate going to Disney. I hate going to Disneyland. I hate going to theme parks. I hate being surrounded by people. It's just I want to be low key with it. So after the accident happened, I became a lot more sheltered in. Youth groups helped out with that, but I mean, my friend group in high school.
What helped you? Spoke on the youth group earlier, like
just the way my youth minister managed to not really poke and pry, but kind of just help people with different events.
Gotcha.
I mean, he's had situations where he's lost family members to tragic events and stuff like that. And for some reason, his energy, he was from Louisiana, Cajun guy. So, one, him and his family were just fantastic. And he just kind of constantly kept things for kids that may have these issues to avoid them from doing something dumb. So, I mean, whether it was he created basketball, he created a church team. I'd never played team basketball before until that.
Till then, what did he do? So what stood out for you? Because I think you said speaking on what
he was a public speaker. So public speakers, I don't want to say manipulative, but they're persuasive. They kind of just help you understand different viewpoints.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, I kind of just like, hey, I'm noticing more people that have gone through similar things as me, and kind of share those experiences with them.
Share that with them.
Are they close friends? No.
But I mean, you can trust that.
Yeah, it's people that, hey, I understand what you're going through. That's probably the number one rule of thumb is you never just want to immediately go up to somebody that's dealing with any type of loss or something. Just like, hey, I understand what you're going through. That's where you get the, that's where you get you get the do you or no, you don't. But when you get broken down to your most vulnerable point where you're sharing your stories, because after I shared mine, I think maybe 4 or 5 more kids go up and
oh wow
on an open mic and just tell their stories. So now you're broken down to your most vulnerable point. I'm going to trust them a lot more. I know what they are at their lowest point.
Straight up.
And especially this is sophomores in high school. We're arrogant.
Hey. And let's be real, you coming from Hispanic family. I know me with black family. Sometimes we just wear our emotions like, we just got pushed through. Don't talk about it. Just keep going. Right.
I was cocky in high school.
See,
like, I mean, I felt like I could learn everything. I could do everything. I loved to showboat. I mean, it's just my nature, but having a lot of people see my absolute weakest point, like, yeah, they might have heard about the accident and stuff like that, or me lose my dad, but I mean, seeing me at my lowest point, breaking down. Would I say I've created a lot of close friends from that? No, but a lot of people that I can talk to, yeah. There's a couple of people from the youth groups I still talk to.
Oh, that's what's
good to see them with their families now and stuff like that. So it's been one of those things that it's been helpful.
That's huge. And I mean, so pretty much I'm getting from that, eventually find someone you can trust or find a group that can relate to you and you can speak about what you've been through. Because we had someone on recently who much older than you were at that time that lost their father. So that advice you would say is find someone you can trust to talk to.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's always making sure we can find somebody to either talk to or kind of just, I don't want to really say share experiences, but kind of just be in that same understanding.
Okay. And I like that because that person, John, I'm jumping in with you just real quick. That person, I can't relate. I can't even fathom. You know that. We talked about this before, but that person said one thing. He said counseling didn't help him. He said it took someone just he can talk with. Just so that's crazy to hear you kind of say the same thing. You haven't once said counseling. You just
so my mom tried. For all three, for me, my brother and sister, my mom's like wanted to possibly see counseling, and for me, I mean, the youth group essentially was counseling.
That I like that.
So there's one thing from going to talk with a psychologist or a counselor about the situations. I mean, maybe they have an understanding of what's going on, but
do they?
Really do they?
Does that?
And then I look at 5 or 6 other kids after me talking about a relative, maybe they even had one of their own parents or a brother or sister that had passed. I'm more likely to talk with those, kind of see what they went through, what did they do to kind of just help themselves from just going down a darker path. I treated that much more seriously than counseling. It was just easier to develop friendships on that.
Got you. Makes sense.
So it's just one of those ones where, yes, it's a tragic moment, but I mean, it's shaped a lot of who I am. And I mean, tying it back to my baby, I mean, the hardest I've ever cried was after he was born, holding him knowing that my dad wasn't going to see him. That by far hit me the hardest.
Dang.
Normally, I'm not super emotional.
You're not.
And I mean, that falls to kind of me, my brother and sister. We're not heavy emotion showers, but that's the one that when I held him, I mean, I constantly would ask my brother who had a kid before me, like, hey, what was it like? I mean, he couldn't really describe it either. So it's just one of those ones where being able to hold my son, it was just one of those impactful ones where I'm just like,
man. And that's what's huge. That's what I love about this safe place right here, this safe space. Like I said, I can't fathom it, man. Me just losing my father would just, hearing this from you, same thing, same emotions. I'd be devastated. But that's what also I respect about you is the strength you've had. Like you've endured all this. Now you have a family, a great job, a house, and you're being the best father you can be. And that's just amazing.
Yep. And that's the big thing. It's just like, can I emulate anything from my dad? At this point, it's hard to remember a lot of what it was. I remember the model trains. I remember going to brothers' soccer tournaments. There's not much else that's in the memory bank there that comes to mind when it comes to parenting. I mean, it's basically like, I'm just going to wing it at this point.
Just wing it. But you're doing great. Your son's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just like work from home.
Hey,
I'll figure it out.
It's straight up.
There's no manual.
Man, I tell you, mate, that's deep. I appreciate you sharing that, John. That's deep.
Been a few years since I've shared.
Well, I thank you coming into the safe place right here. I'm going to switch it on it, man. You and I, we're foodies. Let's be real. We like some food.
I'm a food snob, dude.
So I'm going to switch the subject here. I'm switching.
A food snob.
What is better food in Oregon or Nevada when you were there?
I mean, what kind of food are we talking?
I'm going to say ethnic food. I mean, you come from a Hispanic
There's
background.
no such thing as Mexican food up in Eugene.
Up in where?
Eugene. Mexican food does not exist.
What?
No.
John, what? Hold up. Wait a minute. Because I go to a few food trucks. What? What you mean? Elaborate.
Bro, I can't get ceviche at a single spot here outside of like Taco Bar.
And is it good?
It's different than traditional ceviche. I mean, ceviche is essentially just pico de gallo, and you're adding either fish or shrimp.
Mm-hmm. You make some ceviche, though?
Yeah, so I'll go get the shrimp, I'll go get the fish, I'll go get the onions, tomatoes, cilantro, I'll do it myself.
And I've seen it. I've witnessed that.
I think Taco Bar, there was grapefruit and there was celery and stuff like that. It threw me off. Worst interaction I've had is I think we went to, it's Chapala's over at Gateway.
Oh, okay.
Or Oakway. Samantha took me there when I first moved up here. Man. And I sat down. I was like, she's like, yeah, it's a good Mexican spot. I'm like, okay, fine.
You're scarred.
Go there, open the menu, and first thing I see is like, I just want some carnitas tacos. And first thing I'm seeing on there is Parmesan cheese. And I'm like, I don't even think, when I go to Mexico and ask my aunts, I don't even think they know what Parmesan cheese is.
Oh my God.
I was just like, nah. And then I remember, only interaction I remember from going to Chapala's that night was I got an horchata, and almost no other Mexican restaurant outside of like the food trucks actually serve horchata here. And for those that don't know, it's just cinnamon rice water. Yeah. And they brought it in this 20-ounce, looks like a Homer Simpson beer jug.
Oh, no.
With cinnamon coating the edge like it's some type of cocktail. I just remember the guy in the booth next to us just looking at me. He's like, hey, what kind of alcoholic beverage is that? I'm like, oh, man, I am not in Nevada here.
Man, I'm going to take you my guy at the food truck down the way, John, because he can make the bombest tacos. Come on, man. I know you're a tough critic.
When I get Mexican,
you go to a truck?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to a truck.
Okay.
I mean, but back home, it's Nevada. There's Mexican trucks and restaurants all over. If I get a plate, I should just see refried beans, Spanish, just the red rice, and 4 tacos.
Dang, John.
Onions, tomato, onion, cilantro, and lime. That's all I should see.
That's all you should see.
I shouldn't be seeing anything else.
John, I got a place for you, man. You had a bad experience. You just scarred, bro. That's all it is.
The other thing that's disappointing is Nevada has a lot of all-you-can-eat sushi. For like $25. So when I go get sushi here,
it'd be on the belt. Does it at Nevada?
No. You just fill out your card and you just sit there as long as you want and eat.
Oh, excuse me.
But here, I go to like Izumi and the wallet's hurting.
Man.
I forgot what it's like to pay for $14 for a roll.
Oh my gosh, Izumi, that's the most expensive one. I've been there. I looked at the bill. I said, we're splitting this.
Yeah, I forgot what 2 rolls is $30.
Man, let me tell you, Jay. Let me tell you.
But I will say there's a lot more Japanese like ramen, sushi spots here than there is in Nevada. It's grown in Nevada a lot more, but I mean, there's still not a lot of ramen spots. There's a lot more culture outside of that here. Nevada, I mean, Mexican food, I'll take that over here. But there's not a lot of other variety of backgrounds.
Gotcha.
Whereas Eugene, I mean, we're a college town. We have to have a lot of different stuff.
Different stuff, yeah. It's for sure. John, I got another fun question for you. Fun one you brought up to me, so I'm recycling this question. Something we could talk about. I think you're already going to know. If you had to, what animal would you fight hand-to-hand combat? You know I had to ask this, man. You know I had to.
Continue with the anaconda. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm sticking with mine. I'm fighting the anaconda.
Comfortably, I can start with bobcat. They're decently small. If I go a little bit bigger, alligator. They're a lot smaller than a crocodile. They're not as wide. Their jaw's not as wide either. They're kind of more the narrow. So I could probably 80, 90 pound alligator I could feel comfortable with.
That's like a puppy.
I mean, puppy to me is 14 pounds.
Bro.
But no, bobcat or 80, 90 pound alligator I'd feel comfortable with.
Okay.
I feel like wrestling one of those, as long as you keep hands or arms around the jaw, I think you're pretty comfortable on an alligator.
See, you on my logic. So if I was fighting the snake, not in the water. Yeah,
you mean Jeff had this argument for like 3 weeks.
I'm grabbing it by the head. I tell you, I'm grabbing it by the head. And then it's over. I'm going to work.
Taking down a 600-pound snake.
I'm going to, if it don't wrap me, yes, I am. Have you seen the real Tarzan? He grabs them bugs all the time by the head. I'm doing the same thing. Why is Dez different? Give me
those tails. They use their body on their own. You not seen Jungle Book?
Yes, I've seen. I'm Jungle Boy. I have my hair out. Oh, God. John, I'm telling you, I know we argued about this for like a month, 2 years ago or a year ago, but oh well.
Yeah, they got sick of the anaconda talk.
They bought the stuff. You remember that?
Yeah.
The stuff that you was talking about earlier. That's funny. John, that's funny times. John, I gotta say though, we gotta have you on here with Jeff.
Oh God, yeah.
Me, you, and Jeff from season 1. We gotta do it. Would you be down?
Jeff. Maybe he and I can convince you to finally play Mass Effect. I know our wives are borderline sick of us playing Mass Effect by now, but yeah, Jeff
he's a streamer, y'all. He be gaming, streaming, doing all that stuff.
Been a while, but yeah.
I saw you set up 3 screens.
I think I forgot. Have the 3 screens.
Can barely use 2 on my own, and this dude got 3.
Yeah, once I got 3, I mean, working on 2 on a work computer sucks.
So, then you got the Discord, so we might as well say 3.5 on your phone.
Yeah. Oh, Discord's always up on my phone.
Plugged in.
Hands down, best social media I've ever used.
Plugged in.
I started using that maybe 2015. I started using Discord probably 2015, 2016. Was using Skype and stuff like that to chat with friends and stuff.
Explain the Discord to the aunties and uncles on the podcast.
Discord essentially is like an upgraded version of Skype or WhatsApp, where you can kind of have your own areas with your own friend groups and stuff like that. It was created for gaming, but I mean, I'm starting to see just way more uses for it, whether it comes to sports discussion. I have my own sports one where have 150 people. I mean, if people want to talk hockey, they can go to the hockey chat and just talk hockey. They can go basketball chat, talk basketball. And that's where most of my time is.
Dope.
It's just really a sports server.
So when I see you with your phone, the Discord's right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's always on. And I mean, part of that's just come from after my dad passed. I mean, I've always had to have something on my phone. Like I got iPod at that time, a little bit after that, and always
keeps you busy, keeps your mind off it.
Yeah. So instead of using a fidget spinner or Rubik's Cube or anything like that.
Right.
Am I really reading what's going on? No, but it's just to have in my hand, look at it real quick.
Almost like a cigarette smoker in a way. Like it's just something kind of just a habit. You know, I mean, I don't mean
like
not as bad.
It's like a habit, or I mean, you could say it's bad for me. Social media at times can be really bad for people.
It can be toxic.
It's just one of those things just to keep my brain occupied.
For sure. I feel that. See, sometimes I have the opposite where I'll stay too stagnant, and the opposite, I'm like, damn, what do I even do? Like when those thoughts go through my head. So I gotta learn to stay busy.
Yeah, see, that's where social media. It's like if I get those, when I get social media, when I have like Discord or Twitter open, I'm not calling it X. When I have Twitter open, a lot of the times it's just like, hey, if I get dark thought or anxiety, just
get the phone,
get mind off.
That's the getaway, go away.
So yeah, that's mainly the reason for it. I've had people tell me, it's like, hey, you're always on your phone. I'm like, it's mostly, hey, let's just keep mind off of whatever thoughts came in that shouldn't have gotten into my head.
Dang, man, shoot. Well, John, I got to say, man, first, the biggest thing I appreciate about you is your strength. You're so freaking confident. I always love that about you. You cool as the other side of the pillow, man. Even when you're not, you is.
I don't know where it came from. I mean, even from like youth football, it would pregame introductions. I'm throwing hands up. And
yeah.
Is there 5,000 people in the crowd? No. Is there a couple? Is there like 50 or 60? Yeah. I'm still going to throw my hands up and try to get fans hyped up. Don't know where it came from.
But that's key. So many people don't have that, bro. Like, but once I figured you out when I met you, I was like, bet. He's a dude I could throw whatever at, and he not gonna take it wrong. Like, he gonna take it and logically be like, was I wrong? Was I right? Is Des right? Is Des making a good choice? And I love that about you, bro.
That's the only way I think. I do not like to think with emotion.
You don't.
It is straight logic. My wife hates it.
I'm the emotion too, but I see that about you. I'm like, bet.
My wife hates it. It would be just as something simple. She'll like, well, what about this, this, and this? I'm like, well, let's logically think this through. If you did this, does this make sense? No.
That's important, man. That's so important, bro. That's what we're going to have to get into on that soon.
It's just like, why did you do this? I'm like, because logically you have to do it like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've always gotten great with math. It's just like, there's
just logic, just cold cut. I love that about you, John. I really do. At first, I didn't understand it, but then once I figured it, I was like, okay, we're gonna be all right around here, each other.
So that's why Jeff and I were able to connect real quick.
100%.
Same way.
I can't wait to have you and Jeff on here. It's gonna be such a fun conversation. But I'm gonna close it out with this. But John, first, I just want to thank you for coming into our safe space on Garage Talks.
I've been waiting on this one.
I know.
You told me you were going to do a podcast years ago, and I'm like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help, let me know. So I'm happy to be on here.
I think you helped me and the world today. I mean, you talked about what you've been through, everything you got through, and how you get through. And I think that's huge right there. We had fun, did our thing.
That's the main thing, is having fun on it.
You got to have fun, but I appreciate you sharing your story and just being in the safe spot right here and just doing that. But I'm going to have you and Jeff on here ASAP, so just get ready for that.
That's not an issue for me.
And let Samantha know Des need me back with one more shot, and then we call it good, bro. Any last words for us real quick? Any shout outs to the family or anything?
Nah, brother, I'm all good on that. I will share it with the family and let them know. Just some of them might not have been able to hear the story, or may have been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So always want to share it with the family, and
for sure
spread the Garage Talks.
Definitely.
Let it grow.
Well, you're on YouTube now, my brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
Hey, world, we appreciate you. Another great episode of Garage Talks 5417 podcast. Yet again, I'm your host, Desmond Reynolds, a.k.a. Peacekeeper. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to John Porter right here. He really brought it in. Talk about navigating through some hard times. I hope his story really enlightens you and gives you tools to navigate through yours. Bless up, y'all. We out of here.